On the outskirts of Moscow, Idaho, a set of mountains wait to be explored. You may be tempted to explore these mountains by foot, but as any mountain biker will tell you, why walk when you can ride? Although regarded as an extreme sport, mountain biking can be enjoyed by anyone. All it takes is a bike, a little bit of gear, and some water. The first thing you want to do is go to your local bike shop and talk to a bicycle mechanic. They will give you advice on what kind of bike to buy and what size. John Lamoro from Paradise Creek Bicycles explains the difference between a $300 bike and a $2,000 bike.
So here, this bike, brand new, a Giant Boulder SE, $290 is the full price for it. It has everything you need to start mountain biking if you want to, if you're not too picky. Has a lot of gears, has a front suspension that moves up and down as the bike goes over bumpy terrain, keeps the wheel in contact with the ground so that you have steering capability over rough terrain, and also makes your brakes work better to have the suspension on here. It has nice brakes, the most modern of the rim brakes called V brakes. Looks pretty shiny, right? It's not a bad bike, but this is probably the bare minimum you'd want to start mountain biking here. Okay, so here's the good stuff here. This is a full suspension bike. The other one that we looked at was just front suspension. This bike is about $2,000. It's quite a bit different. It still has suspension, but it's a much higher quality type of suspension. The first bike, the $300 bike, had a suspension fork that probably cost around $75 or $100 to buy separately. This fork right here is around $600 separately, and you can really feel it when you start riding more. You'll notice that the fancier suspensions have better control over bumps. They have oil inside them that's forced through small ports, and some features like adjustments on how quickly the fork comes back from a bump. You can fine-tune the higher end forks a lot better with air pressure or by turning dials to control the oil flow inside. This bike also has hydraulic disc brakes that are just like a car would use, or a motorcycle, that use .3 brake fluid and everything, and they really bring you down to a stop very quickly. They also have a lot better control, and those are quite a bit more expensive than the V brakes on the $300 bike. Worth it, in my opinion. Once you go to the nice stuff, it's really difficult to go back. So you might want to start at the $300 bike, then move up from there with the things that you learned riding your cheaper bike.
After finding the right type of bike, the next thing you'll need is a helmet. Helmets will save your head from hard falls and low tree branches. Helmets range from $20 to $200 and up, depending on how hard a terrain you want to ride on.
So like, this is your standard mountain bike helmet. This is a pretty fancy one, actually. It's about $100. Fits nicer than some of the other ones. It's made out of styrofoam. It has a lot of vents in it for ventilation in the summertime when you're sweating. I mean, it might be 50 degrees out, and when you start cranking up a hill that's like that, you'll be sweating in no time. So this is a nice helmet to use there. It fits a lot of different people. You can just turn this dial on the back here. Actually, this one's too big for me. But you turn it down until it's snug on your head, and then get the straps tight under your chin, and tighten the straps down. Do a little adjustment so it's not bugging your ears. It shouldn't shake around when you have the helmet strapped on. And so these are nice and light, well ventilated. Base models start at about $30.
There are a few things you should pack in your backpack before going for a ride.
You got your helmet, got your gloves, got your water bottle. or, like I like to bring both, or your hydration pack. Inside your pack, you should have some first aid, some food, a pump to inflate your tires, a patch kit, and a spare tube in case you do get a flat that can't be patched. Sometimes a valve will break off and you need to just put a whole new tube in your tire. It's quick and easy to change the tire that way.
The Moscow Mountains are accessible by bike or foot. If you want to venture out to the west side of the state, check out trails.com for a list of mountains. According to Lamoro, it is all about preference. Do you want to do all-day extreme downhill at Schweitzer Mountain, or do you want to take a leisurely ride with friends on a Saturday morning? All it takes is a little bit of exploring.
You kind of have to come over here to the Idaho side to go mountain biking. The closest place is Moscow Mountain. There's probably 40 miles of trails up on Moscow Mountain, maybe not quite, but there's a whole bunch of what's called single track. It's not especially beginner, but you can start by riding up gravel roads to the top of the mountain, up the fire roads, and riding back down when you get tired. It's nice to go up first and then ride back down as you start to get tired and stuff like that, so that you don't get stuck having to ride back up 10 miles out of a hole when you're out of food and water.
While on the mountain, I could tell you a million tips for braking and turning, but the best thing to do is keep your elbows bent and your back at a 45-degree angle. When going downhill, make sure your back is slightly behind your seat to avoid flipping over the front of your bike, and then just ride. Once you get a feel for it, technique will come later. Yeah. Cool. Wee-hoo!